Okay, everybody, so we're back here. Been trying to avoid actually working all morning. I got literally all of my homework done. I was like, you know what, we're gonna do just do homework all day. Just nothing but that. 2 hours, everything done. And I'm like, crap. So yeah, we're here to code now. That's literally the only thing I got left to do. All my buddies are off doing other things, so I can't make the excuse to go play games. I'm running out of things to watch on YouTube. Netflix is boring the snot out of me. So last thing here is coding. Not to say that's a bad thing, as I do have work to do, and I'm running out of excuses not to do work as I only have a week left of class. And literally, two of my classes are now at the point where I can stop turning in assignments, stop showing up to class, and completely skip the finals and still pass with a 70 on both of them. There's only one class I actually have to do the final in, and I have to score at least a 50%, that's an F, on, by the way, and I pass the class. But yeah, so we're going to do this. We left off with, I believe, basic rotation code and various other things. I don't think I've really changed anything since the last video. I pretty much stopped really messing with this directly. I went and finally finished up the build scripts for VoltzEngine, so the VoltzEngine is compilable now. We can actually make new versions. Unfortunately, until we get the build servers online, we can't produce any more builds for anything else because everything depends off the Maven, and if VoltzEngine isn't installed onto the Maven, nothing can get it compile. So we have to still fix that, and that's slowly being worked on. So by the end of next week, we should have the build servers back online, and I should be able to start testing things. That means I still haven't fixed the Json issue where outside of the dev workspace, JSON files are not loading. Once we get all that fixed where the build servers are functional, I can start pulling in mods and start testing the scripts and seeing what is causing this issue. All honestly, I could probably fake out a mod real quick and make it work. You know what? That's not a horrible idea. Since the only other thing I had to work on right now was to do wrench support and a few other things. Because everything else is waiting on seeing if the build servers are going to function before we take time to start converting mods. Because if I go out of my way and say convert ICBM all the way to the new system and then we find out the build servers won't utilize the new system, then we've wasted huge amounts of time. But so let's see, we gotta come up with a fake mod here real quick. What we're going to do is I'm going to go compile one of the SMB mods. I'm just going to shove some scripts into it. Yeah, so I need this folder, so we're going to open that new window. So we're going to go grab some of my commission to work because I need to make sure the rocket launcher works in there. Oh wait, we can't use the rocket launcher because that requires the armory mod to be compiled, and the armory mod won't compile without VoltzEngine. Oh wow, that really puts a damper on things there. But we're going to open that folder back up, and we're just going to go grab one of the SMB mods. That's about the only thing I can think of. I can't do wooden buckets because I don't think the build servers are set up. Actually, no, I think the build servers are set up for wooden buckets, but we still don't want to do that one. We're going to grab wooden shears. So what we're going to do is we're just going to build a local copy of this. This will take a few seconds. While that's running, I am going to go hunt down... Actually, no, I need that folder open again. I need to go back out to... I would use the tabletop to spawn a new window here. Then we'll open GitHub and then we'll go find the test scripts. So VE, and we don't want this. You know, we can go grab the build folder. Yeah, look at this massive junk just to build everything. Everything goes to the source folder anyways, which is the irony of separating everything out, is in order to build it, we have to combine everything, which defeats the purpose. And now we got this janky script system that I'm sure if like a brawler like sees it, I'll get yelled at. Because we're not supposed to be using things like ant and batch to make mods, but right now I'm using a batch script to make my mods. And I believe CFOH stuff uses ant scripts for theirs. We need the resource folder. Actually, we need the test folder, and then we need the resource folder. Oh, wait, we failed the build. Why did we fail the build? Problem occurred evaluating the script. No such properly change log for type. We might quite literally be running into a problem where Dmod is working on the new scripts right now, and unfortunately he's not working on a dev branch, and these are pulling from the live branch right now, because this is what these literally do. If I open this up, come on, open up. That is literally a script on the remote repository. So all of our scripts are actually downloaded every time we run them, so we don't have to update our scripts actively. We go and we change the live script system, and it functions. So if we find a bug, we don't have to go update all 120 of our repositories with new scripts. We just update the one repository and we're done. Unfortunately, this means it broke this script system, and I may have to go find something, and I'm going to have to shove files into it. Trying to think of how to do this. The easiest solution is just going to be to shove script files into VoltzEngine itself. So we're gonna go and we're gonna go find my runner here, which I'm using multi-MC to test everything. Real easy software to use. Everybody's probably familiar with it at this point. We don't want that. I want the open instance folder. No, actually, I can get to my instance folder faster by doing this. Should be a folder here. There we go. Yeah, it's how often I actually test this stuff that I've actually got to do a bookmark in the VoltzEngine file for everything. No, we don't want main, we want tests. So what I want to do is I would bring us back over here. We're going to open 7-zip. And then there's no content folder in here. So what we need to do is we need to copy this. I need to rename it. So I'm going to have to copy it somewhere so I can rename it. Put this here. And this needs to be renamed to VoltzEngine. Let me actually make sure I got the right domain. The domain has to match the mod domain, or else VoltzEngine will not load it. And in this case, we're trying to get VoltzEngine to load from itself. We don't have anything. I don't think we need any textures. Actually, no, we need some assets. So we're gonna have to copy those in here in a second. First things first, we're gonna copy this over. No, actually, that's the wrong folder. Copy into the main folder. Yes. And then we need to grab the assets. These are pretty simplistic because I don't think VoltzEngine has a lot of assets to worry about in the first place. Oh, we do have some assets. Okay, so there is a model, so we need to merge the model in. By the way, the model VoltzEngine has by default is the workbench. It's actually only used by, like, I think one mod right now. Okay, no blocks. There is an item. And there's no there, so we got to merge the item in there. And then hit yes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy this entire structure back out so I don't have to redo it again. There we go. So these are what we're going to inject into VoltzEngine every time we go to test it. So that way we have something. And if I had more time, I would make a batch script to auto do this for me so I didn't have to redo it every single time we went to go edit. But for the moment, we're going to launch this and we're going to see, and hopefully it's going to load and I don't have to do anything, and I'll be so happy because the concept of having to wait for VoltzEngine to build, then edit, then build again, then edit, then build again is not very fun. Because if you heard me complain about my workspace taking 5 minutes to launch, VoltzEngine can take 15 minutes to build, which is ridiculous. It's one of our longest building things, and our build script technician is trying to fix it. And we have nothing. We probably have nothing because I don't think the mod manager loads. Might be actually what's wrong. This is why I need to make a fake mod for this. You know, that's exactly why this is probably not running. Because, let me see, we're trying to find some, okay, that music has to die. I like the Minecraft music when I'm actually wanting to play Minecraft, but I'm trying to do something else. It is just annoying. So we're looking somewhere in here to try to find some indication that the system is running. Found 0 mods on the command line, attempting to connect, processing object annotations. Might actually use the object annotation system one of these days. Okay, there's VoltzEngine injecting things. Okay, loading JSON resources, scanning mod packages for JSON. It didn't find a single mod package to load. Or did it? Oh, hold on, it actually is scanning things. Okay, here we go. It found VoltzEngine folder. Scanning for files in content.voltzengine. Scanning external, scanning classes for resource path. It didn't find either one. So here's what it actually needs to look for. Is what it's trying to do is it's trying to scan these mods to find content folders. It for some reason cannot find the content folder, and this is where I think I'm going to have to add a jar processing system, where if it detects in the file path name, right here, so it's detecting, we're trying to load here. This is where we're trying to get loaded. If it's a .jar, I think I need to unzip it and then pull the content files out into some kind of temporary location just so I can run them. I prefer not to do that because that's probably going to prolong the build process, and I don't want to prolong the build process, or prolong the launch process in Minecraft is what I mean. At least it's identifying it though, so at least it knows it has a content folder. I'm pretty sure even if we've detected the files, it wouldn't have loaded them anyways because VoltzEngine is not a iMod object. It's just a classic mod. Because how this works is in order for VoltzEngine to identify things, so I have to go find the system here to show this. So lib JSON content processor. So there's some kind of claim process that's built into here somewhere. I don't remember where. Okay, so there's claim content. This gets called by this. Let me just hit Control B. Okay, here we go. Every abstract mod has a claim content call. The problem with this is in order to do the claim content call, you have to be an instance of iJSON_genMod. So in order for VoltzEngine to load content, so we're going to have to go edit VoltzEngine real quick. I have to make it implement this, and I'm going to have to make it claim its content. That's just to get it to load the content, period. As for it not being able to detect the content in the first place, we'll approach that here slowly. So engine. I hate to actually do this and apply this to the engine class, because I actually want the engine to no longer generate content. I actually am going to probably make a secondary mod for this. So implement methods. Okay, so we want prefix and we want domain. So prefix actually should be references.prefix. And there should be references.domain. Because the only thing it does to actually check to see if it claims a mod is it just matches the domain to the registered mod. That's literally how it works. It's not very complicated. I tried to make it as simple as possible. That way somebody who wants to utilize this system can go claim their own content. They don't have to do all the same stuff I do. So this is being claimed in pre-init. Okay. Which means I actually need to wait to the end of my pre-init call to do this. So all the way at the bottom here somewhere. Right after proxy call. Call loader, claim JSON content. There we go. And then we do OR dictionary stuff right here for whatever reason. This is just to ensure certain things. And when I get the JSON system properly running, all of this is going to end up in the JSON system. And then I'm going to probably make a separate class for actually detecting the holidays and stuff. There'll be like a holiday class or a day of the year class, and it'll go, okay, it's Christmas or it's this or it's that or something. There'll be like an enum value of holidays, and it'll just tick off the holidays. And of course, there'll be a config file that'll tie into that so you can turn on holiday content whenever you want. Same with explosive registry. This is going to end up being a JSON system because if you want to register some item to some explosive, there's no reason to say you have to do this with a method call because all you're doing is registering an item to an ID to an explosive value. The TNT value happens to be 8 by default. This is going to be configurable, of course. Right now it's not configurable. Actually, I think it is configurable. No, there's no config for it. It'll be configurable later. Although I think there already is a config to scale all explosives anyways, so I'll work on it later. That's all good. That's good. That means we'll claim content. Now we have to just deal with loading JSON files. So I'm gonna have to Google this because the last time I did this was 4 years ago. We could do it this way. That might actually work. Let me go to my JSON content loader. So when we go to do everything, in pre-init is where we actually load every single JSON file. So every JSON file that is potentially in existence is already loaded on the very first tick of VoltzEngine running. This will eventually actually end up running before pre-init once I actually get around to stop being lazy and throw all the JSON loading system into like a content loader or no, into a core mod of some kind. That way, before any mod has even been created, all of the JSON content is loaded. And because the JSON content is not dependent on Minecraft, all it is finding files because you still have to run processor. Like at the end of every single tick, processing is run because at some point, the processors are registered and they're not registered in the first tick. They're usually registered in your pre-init calls. That's the reason why it waits to the end of pre-init to register processors, and the reason it registers all of its processors here. So we have validate file path. Okay, load resources is where we're actually loading resources. So here's scanning the mod packages, and what this does is this goes through and it gets every single mod container and then grabs the source folder. So maybe it's I don't want the source folder, I want something else. Because here's the actual mods. This is the, like if I create an instance of engine, this is what actually gets returned there. We get certificates to say that our stuff's been signed. We can get the version numbers. We can get descriptors, various things we can actually grab. We could get owned packages. Wonder what that actually does. We're going to find out. Because in the name of science, things have to be tested. Although, all honestly, so we get the file, so we're loading from here, but we're still trying to load from the class path. Load resource from package, mod.getClass. So how does this work? Okay, so we're getting the class. So we get class.classloader.getResource stream folder. So we already doing this all of that already. Maybe instead of class loader, we want to do. You know, we could just do this real quick. If we go stream equals null, then what we could try is to get a stream for just the class.getResource. I don't think this will crash. Let me check to see if this throws exceptions. Okay, so it throws a null put exception if the code name is null. It does not throw any other exceptions according to this. So this should, in theory, make some kind of change. I don't know what that change is going to be, but potentially we'll see some kind of result from this. First, before we go compile this again, because compiling does take a little bit of time, I'm going to go up into here somewhere, wherever we were at last. A lot of code in here. Like I need to move this sorting stuff to a separate class because all this does is sort the JSON tags in order to ensure that that blocks load before items, items load before weapon data loads before ammo data, or actually ammo data needs to load before weapons and stuff. But it ensures there's some kind of sorting rule. Or rather, Forge does this for mods. Okay, so we want to be here is where we want to be. So run and then debug Minecraft 2. So I want to see what own packages look like, is what I want to see. So that's the reason why we're going to debug this real quick, because we need to know what the data does. That's what makes the difference between somebody who's just modding for the hell of it and somebody who actually mods really, really well. In order to mod well, you need to kind of know what all the components do. Even if you don't plan to use them, try to understand what everything does. And don't just go, well, this does thing. You need to understand what the thing is, how the thing operates. Get some kind of generalized knowledge. You don't need to know the specifics. Like, you don't need to know every last detail, like how the fact that a string is actually an array of chars. That's not exactly important. It's useful, but not important. The more generalized knowledge is just understanding, okay, this contains a list of all the packages in Minecraft, and this will contain either the individual package folders out to the extent, or it's going to contain every single package in there, which means it'll have a package com built broken, package com built broken MC, which is the reason I want to see it. So in this case, we got container, and it's not going to actually show us what we want. So we need to quickly create a list here. So I'm going to call this packs because you can't call it packages or it will error. So we're going to go container.get owned packages, and we need to print this out or it won't utilize the data. If you don't use a variable and you put it in a class and you go to run it, Java's going to ignore that variable because it's not being used. I don't know if it does that at compile time or it does that at runtime, and one of these needs to be turned off. Okay, this is the one we're using, so this has been reloaded, and then we're going to hit play. Because right now I just hit the Minecraft package, so I don't really need to care about that. So we're going to hit play, and it just skipped past everything, did it? So we're going to hit stop and reload. I wonder why it skipped past everything, because that's a for loop, which means I should have hit on every single mod container getting passed through. I guess the good thing is today my tea is actually warm. Yesterday I was making a recording here and I left my tea in front of the fan and it turned to ice basically. Not quite literally, figuratively turned to ice, which means it was cold. 50 degrees outside, my room temperature is usually like 60 degrees. Today it's actually nice at 70. I actually fucked with my heating system and got it to behave itself. It's amazing, it's a brand new heating system. It's less than a year old, and I can't tell if I don't think there's anything wrong with the heating system itself, but the thermostat for some reason doesn't want to balance heat correctly. Okay, so we actually want our debug line to be here because we want to see what own packages looks like. Okay, so there's Forge. Okay, so we got own packages, we just hit Forge. So okay, so that's going to give me every package. Cool, and that's probably every package that contains a package info, I'm starting to think. Maybe not. Hit play again. Open computers. Okay, so that returns 0 again. So it might be every one that contains a package info. So if we hit VoltzEngine at some point here, FML Looking Glass. What is Looking Glass? Is that just oh no, what? Oh no, it's a mod called Looking Glass. Proxy world, proxy world, proxy world. What are these? Animator, event, hook, view, API, network, packets. May have stumbled across something that may be interesting to look into later. It's XComp Wiz. Oh well, we'll have to look at it later. It's something that got stuck in my dependency list. Okay, so we look at IC2. IC2, wow, why do you have so many marks for core? Okay, it's Open Computer. Computer's got that same problem though. It's got duplications, a lot of duplications actually. There's mantle. Okay. T construct. CFOH core. Project E, I don't know even what, actually I know why that's in my workspace. Okay, so here's Built Broken. So we got 15 packages. Actually this is fluid handling. So that's about right. And I definitely don't have package infos in all those, so it is grabbing all the packages. I'm just curious why it's duplicating. It's a bit unusual for it to, well, actually I don't know how it's supposed to work in the first place, so me saying it's a bit unusual is not quite correct. There's AggieCraft. Here's the Armory mod. I'm not seeing the content folder. So the whole reason I actually wanted to look through this to see if the content folder would show up in here. And we hit the Armory mod, so the content folder didn't show up. Yeah, content folder isn't loading. So we have confirmed that that is just going to be class packages. What we want to now see... What is that? No entry found for entry ID VE test block. Render type -1. Mod test what? Oh, I forgot to add these to the ignore on the JSON block. It isn't causing any errors, but it is being annoying. We'll ignore that. Looks like it loaded, or it has been loading, so we're going to go ahead and stop it because we got to look at what we wanted to look at. So now the next process is to run the build system. And while we're waiting on that, I'm going to go make some adjustments to some of the block classes. So we need to go find build.old. I got to run... Actually, you know what? I need to sync code real quick. Sync code first, then do stuff. Ignore that. Forgot to do this. Interesting thing is I just adjusted the content loader. Why is this not detecting it's there? Source tree's being its normal self, I guess. Oh no, it detects the changes. There they are. Well, that's in the VoltzEngine project. What are you? More importantly, what is the engine folder? No, this is probably a subfolder, and I've probably been syncing code in it for the last few minutes. And you know what I need to go do? This is stupid. I gotta go update this folder or this package because I fucked it up and deleted stuff that isn't supposed to be deleted in here. So I need to reset to this branch, and this has to be hard. Yes. Okay. That should fix that, because if I didn't fix that, then we would run the merge script and the merge script would fail. But I need to go to the VoltzEngine folder, and I need to go delete those out of the actual VoltzEngine folder. So we have a libs package in here, which actually contains all of our actual libs. I'm going to actually just rename this real quick. So this is going to be called libs2. And the reason I'm going to do that is I need to delete them on this. Okay, so I only want to sync. Oh, it's going to be stupid and it's going to do that. Oh, you're going to do that for every single one. I think I can just hit commit. No, you're going to commit everything. Okay. No, actually you're not. You just, what did you switch to? I don't know what it switched to, but it's going to be weird. Okay. I can deal with this system. This is actually easier to use than usually most of the systems. That works. So we want to removed libs, adjusted engine to load content, adjusted content loader to try alternative to get resource stream. And we're just going to sit there and probably have to toy with that a few times to get it to work. The following will be removed from the source control. Okay, I'm okay with this. Okay, so now we got our libs2 folder, which we're going to rename back to libs, or it's probably going to crash IntelliJ in the background. And then what we need to do is we need to go, okay, ignore everything underneath libs, and then hit sync. There we go. The reason we're doing that is the lib folder actually has stuff in it that is not synced automatically. I believe IC2's in there. So IC2 is downloaded by default with our Maven system, but I utilize the dev version rather than the API. So the code that compiles uses the API, but then there's certain things I use that want to use the dev stuff, and back and forth, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing for things like project E and stuff like that. We got that, and I need to open up the build system back again, so we have to go grab that. And you'll get to see how long this actually takes. So run merge. So what this does is it deletes the build folder, deletes the source folder. It then goes through every single submodular, then downloads the updates for the submodular. So the stuff we just synced right there just got downloaded. As soon as it figures everything out, it then clones all of the files to the source folder, and then it's done. And then what we do when we do that is we run build.local like we would for any other mod, and hopefully this doesn't crash. And this takes anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes depending on what's going on. I'm using a local computer here, so it's slower than the build servers. The build servers even have the same problem though. They have a tendency to run fast or slow. And I don't really understand the rhyme or reason for it, but some days we'll have the builds go quick, some days we'll have the builds go slow. I think it all depends on how long it takes the dependencies to download. I don't have a very good Maven cache locally, so yeah. Build server's got an amazing Maven cache though. Probably needs more work, however. So we need to adjust the build for the or just the block processor. So block processor has some ignore keys, and these are used to tell the sub-block processing system that, hey, please don't process these. And the only thing it's used for is error detection. Later it's going to actually probably crash when it goes to do this, and it'll only crash if you put a boolean in that says, hey, we want you to crash if at any time there's anything wrong with the consistency of the scripts. Because right now it just does, so yeah, we got these. While we're in here, we can go ahead and put in render, actually we have to get render type, we want to hit opacancy. So we wanted to do set opacancy first so I can get that name. And we want to get this as a boolean. But I need to make sure I copy the name here so we've got it spelled correctly, because I don't spell opaque enough to actually know how to spell the word. Okay, so we got opacancy set up there. We're going to want to add this to our list up here as well. So that way the sub-block system doesn't actually process it. Because what we got down here is process unknown entry, and this feeds into the sub-block processing system. So this gets our ore names, this gets our recipes, this gets our smelting system, everything goes through the unknown processor system. So we don't want the unknown processor to try to process opaque, render type, anything like that, because we want all of the block data to be processed in the main class, even though using this system, we could process everything up here. We're just not going to do it. What else do we want to handle? There's a light value is the next one. And I probably want to put a check on here, but I'm just going to let the game crash, to be honest, for the moment. So if somebody, actually we can handle this. So set, there's no set light value. It's stored. Here we go. So we need to highlight these real quick. So refractor, encapsulate fill. This is basically a lazy way to do this. That's the reason why I left them public. Actually, only does a redstone. That doesn't does that. Okay, light value's down here. So we want to encapsulate this. So we want to hit refractor and then encapsulate filled. And that gets our light value. So we also need to do redstone too. That's another one. So set light value. I don't know if I want to call this light because that's ambiguous, which means it's hard to understand. That's only 30% through the build. Light output, we'll call it. Because that gives a little bit more of an understanding of what's going on. And we're going to call this opaque cube. I mean, there's going to be a manual that's going to explain what all this stuff is, but the more I make it self-apparent or self-obvious what stuff is, the less likely somebody has to reference a manual. Less likely they have to reference a manual, the less confusion there is, the less confusion, the more productive a person could be. So we want to do an alpha thing. And we're just going to call this alpha cube. No, actually, we're going to do this. We're going to do has alpha textures. And this will be is opaque cube. Because then these read like their questions. So they read like, is it an opaque cube? And you answer yes. And then it goes, does it have alpha texture? And you answer yes. Although in this case it'll be true. Although technically I could put the word yes and no in here. There's nothing that says I have to do anything. And let's see what the build just did. Oh, it failed to compile. No, wait, no, okay, it compiled correctly. I always see this stuff and my brain instantly thinks this is a fail. This is actually a warning. This is the Scala system telling me that I should not have this part here. Because it needs this part in order to function. Because what I'm doing is checking if it's an instance of in Scala. But that extra part there doesn't get compiled. Okay, so we're good here. So what we want to do is go to our output. Hit copy. And then we want to go to our mods folder. Hit paste. And then we need to 7-zip, open it up. And then put both these in here. They should merge automatically. So we should be good. If not, it'll crash. So we're going to load that up, and while that's loading, I'm going to go back to typing this. So we got opaque cube, this, and we need redstone is the last one. And this will be supports redstone. Okay, and then we need to go up here and we need to add the new entries. So this will be light value, alpha, and then that. Okay. Light output. And when it comes to this, by the way, if I was doing this properly, we wouldn't be using string literals here. I would have some kind of variable, and that variable would then define all this data. That way there's no ambiguity and confusion of what these are. So you would go, okay, this is the key for this value, this is the key for that value, and so on. And these would all be stored at the top of this class file, or they'd be stored somewhere completely else. They don't have to necessarily be stored in this file. But doing that, it's easier, plus you're not creating two strings. Because technically, even though these are both the same, we've created two string instances here. Even though I believe Java does catch these, so it doesn't recreate them every single time. But something happens and it works and it does things, and magic of programming. But we've got all our types here. This allows us some more data to work with when we go to work on our next project. And let's see if it loaded up my stuff here. Tab.all, and we're looking for I don't think it loaded, so we're gonna have to go to the console. Yeah, here's my cast recipe system. There is a detection for broken recipes. Should only detect for broken recipes, I think, when it's going to go initialize recipe. So I think it loaded something. Where's all this junk? Scanning for files. Resource loader line 32. Oh, that's printing off all the packages. Well, I need to remove that line. That'd be really dumb of me to leave a debug line that big in there. So this needs to be engine.logger.loading. So make sure I'm actually using logger. So go back to the console here, scanning for content. Yeah, it's not finding squat. So now we're back to trying to load stuff from a jar file. So according to all this stuff should work. But the problem is we don't know what we're trying to find. And probably every answer I'm going to find is the same. You just call class.getResource. What if this changes if we put this in front of it? That's actually an important question. We're going to run debug on this, and we're going to see how this behaves if I put a slash in front of there. If it doesn't change any on the debug mode, we're then going to test it on the live. If it changes on the live, then we may have got lucky and it may be a simple fix. Because the reason why I'm looking at this, I'm looking at stuff like this. Okay, so what is he doing here? He's testing several things. So he's testing a nested class loader. And we're looking for a literal location is what we're actually looking for. So that's the reason why he's doing the slash. Get class loader. Yeah, there's a few different possibilities here. One of these is going to have to work. Because there's other people out there that have done this and done this repeatedly where I've only done this a few times. So somebody's going to have an answer. And we just got to go quickly check where that class loader did. Okay, it's fine. The file is just fine. So there's no issue here. And if we load up the program, it should in theory... Oh, wait. Why did you fail to find 8 blocks? Did we accidentally copy out our test files? Let's see. No, right there's content tests. Okay, so we gotta look at this and see what happened here. No, it found everything. So it's right here, found it. So it's everything's there. Did we accidentally remove from the asset mod something? No, that the claim content's there. We're gonna load up and see if the content is still there. It's just for some reason the name's changed. Oh no, it straight out just broke. Okay, see what happened. Yeah, something just broke really badly here because it's detecting the files, but the processors are failing to run now. Why would there be such a huge difference between it detecting them and it's running? Although this is a pretty fatal bug that I need to kind of fix. So we need to go that'll prevent that from crashing again, but we're back to the ideal of what's going on with the claim content. The gun system should never fail like this because of the fact that it doesn't even use the claim content system to actually claim all its guns. At least I don't think it does. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't do that. So something failed in the resource loader, and I need to figure out what exactly happened. Okay, so probably this. I don't know, because names shouldn't start with a prefix of any kind. But we're going to debug right here anyways, because I think this is where the problem is. So we need to check to see what path is. We're getting somewhere though. Video length's pretty long, nothing's really happening here though, so this is going to be one of those glaze over videos. The fact I get 6 to 10 views a video pretty much tells me that too. I'll work on probably making more entertaining videos here in the future. Less of this stuff. I'll still record these because these are helpful to some people. I've had a couple people thank me for making them. I just wish the view count would actually reflect that though. But most people are interested in fast-paced content, and YouTube's still under the concept that videos should be 15 minutes long, even though their new system now pretty much thinks everything should be longer. So that means our path is content, armory, ammo. Okay. And we want this. Okay. So 12 gauge.json. Okay, we said we found it. Okay, we now have class path the resources.at. So we've put it into the path saying we're going to load it. Now we got to see where we're actually loading resources from. So this is just discovery. So what we're doing in the first thing is we're just discovering where everything is, because that's the first process. I need to go find where we're actually telling everything to load. Okay, so there's process entries, process, claim content, post init, okay. Here's load resources. Okay, so here's where we actually get all the scan files, scan for external, then we're loading the classes here. So we go for each class resource, we then pass the resource into here. Okay, let's throw exception. Does not throw exception. Okay, so this is what we want to look at. Okay, it's null. Okay, so that's not good. So we want to do URL equals null. We want to try this approach. Okay, so let's see if that works on the next one. Is our URL isn't null after that. It found it. And then we just crashed. Or did we? Did we crash? No, there's no error. Okay, so we're gonna need some more debug info, because I need to know not only did we just process something, I need to know. Well, I'm gonna put a try catcher on this because I have a feeling that if this crashes, it takes out the entire load process. Actually, hold on. Let's go back a step here. Where is this called from? Okay, we already have a try catch. Okay, so we're good there. So we need to go here, and what we want to do in here is we want to put a debug line. So we want to go engine.logger.error failed to load resource for, and we pass in resource. This way we have an error debug saying we've done something, and we're gonna have an error, another debug saying we've loaded something. Found resource attempting to load. Okay, so we're good there. That'll give us some debug. Remove this debug line because that we figured out what's up. Okay, we're gonna change this to loading. And this needs to be all sent to its own little debugger here later, or own little log file, because you see how much spam this is producing? I know for a fact there's going to be people that are going to yell at me for this spam, even though if you come over and look at AgriCraft, it's not doing much better than I am, and then if you've ever seen RotaryCraft, it's just as bad. A lot of mods are to blame for this huge spam. Like, we have blacklist components being listed, and each mod should get its own little log file for all its crap. I don't know if newer versions have implemented this. I heard somebody mentioning that they were going to do it, so hopefully they did. So we're going to quit this. We have made some adjustments, so we're going to sync. Okay, so once this syncs, then we just have to go run the build system again and we can test it again. And hopefully it's fixed, because then if that's fixed, that confirms that my system is functional, and then I can start releasing with JSON content, which will be so nice, because everything will be ported over to this, and this may not sound very impressive for you guys, the users, but from a dev point, it's amazing for me. It means less work. For mod pack makers and resource pack makers, it means those two groups can customize the living shit out of my mods. If they don't like a piece of content, delete the JSON file and move on. If they don't want to delete the JSON file, of course we'll have overrides too for it. But If they want to adjust settings, energy values, power values, the way things look, feel, the way they behave, if they want to add rotation to something that did not have that rotation, they can do it. All they have to do is go edit the JSON data. I don't have to sit here and cater to every single person, which makes the JSON system incredibly powerful. It's the same reason why you're looking at Mojang doing the same thing. They're building up JSON systems just like this. They have NPC and quest systems. They're going to probably eventually do the same thing I've done, and they're going to have item and block JSON data. I foresee at some point that every piece of content in Minecraft will progress towards a JSON-based system. The only thing you would have left would be tile entities and stuff. And of course, they'll probably still register those the old way, which would be done that way. But they'll move a lot of their data over to the JSON system, which would be nice because they need to do it, and a lot of other games have already done it. And other games have proven the point it works functionally well. So we need to go do build system rather than hear me do another speech of why I think this stuff is amazing, because I do that almost every video now. But this is a system I've imagined for 4 years, and I finally am getting it fully implemented. So it's just so nice to have that finally get there. Let's see, build folder, build folder, build folder. Here we go. Now we need to run merge again. Of course, this does all the poll stuff again. Why is dirty artifact being used by something else? Oh well. It's probably the build daemon that's running. Or daemon is how it's actually supposed to be pronounced. So build local. There we go. Yeah, because every time you run this starts a Gradle build daemon, which is basically a background process that just makes things run faster. Theoretically, it actually does work. It does make everything work better. I haven't been able to fully confirm it. The only thing I know is that if you continuously run builds, that there will be a couple of those daemons running in the background, and you'll have to go turn them off. Like if I actually do this real quick. Got several Java instances running. Chrome doing its normal thing. By the way, when people complain about Chrome having a lot of processor tabs, sit here and actually look at its memory and CPU usage. It doesn't use any CPU, and the memory usage is incredibly low. Like, there's stuff that uses higher than this, but everybody complains, oh my god, look at all those processors. I don't think anybody's actually sat and looked at how many Windows has. Yeah, these are the daemons running right here. It won't tell me exactly what they are, but they're there. And our build process failed, so we're going to see what happened. Yes. Unable to delete build.jar. The build system basically just failed. Come on, don't do this stupid thing. I've had this happen before where you can't delete this because something is using it. And trying to figure out what that something is going to be a pain, and it probably is OBS. I'm not going to lie, I've had OBS lock processes down before because it's recording. Delete, nope. Okay, we're going to try pretty much killing everything. Delete. Try again. Nope. Kill the whole workspace while I'm at it. Kill this file. Try again. Try again. Okay, I'm just going to end the recording here because I'm going to have to screw with this, which means I'm probably going to have to restart my computer because something's latched onto the file and it's preventing it from restarting it. And there's a couple tools you could use to do this, but I'm not going to go use the tools. I'm going to restart the computer probably. And that way I can delete this and then run it, and I'll get back to you guys at another time. I'll probably be on Twitter or on Mouse when I get this stuff fixed. I'm not going to do another video over this, but yeah.